Let's see what we got here. This thing is beautiful. And the main thing is this bracket up here is bent.
Okay.
Oh, right here. Yeah, I'm gonna get that out though.
Okay. Yeah, I can see.
But the reason it's bent is because the fender's crushed in.
Okay.
Have to loosen the bolt up, do some things to it.
Yeah, just enough to give me a little time to
Yeah.
look good enough to get it's like a auto show car. Just something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey guys, we're out here today on this 1984 Nissan 300ZX. I believe that's what it's called. 50th anniversary edition. Fender dent. Customer was driving down the road and he said a baby carriage fell out of a truck, hit his fender, and caused this dent. Take a look at it. Enjoy the video, guys. Of course, we have our anchoring system as always at the top to keep it from moving up, and we have anchored right there at the bottom using a block of wood to keep it from destroying any more. Sliding track system, winch for controlled pulls right here. Makes it easy to pull. You don't have to really work too hard. Oscillates 360 degrees. Got the heat gun on there to keep the panel warm, keep the paint from cracking. All of our different tabs from Keco. We got the super tabs, crease tabs, centipede tabs, all that great stuff. Safety chain, safety strap. So whenever we're pulling the glue tab off the panel, it doesn't come back and hit me in the face. So here's the dent. It's absolutely crushed. Not 100% I'm going to be able to get this out or not, but I'm very excited to give it a try. That's for sure. Very excited about this repair. This will be super awesome. Hopefully we can get it out for the customer. And the key thing I found about this, there's a bolt right there. See that? So that bolt actually is what holds the fender on at the top, and the bolt is attached to a bracket which is attached to the fender, and that bracket is bent. So I'm gonna have to loosen that bolt before I do any pulls, because I want that bolt to be able to be loose so that when I make the pull, it straightens out that bracket and I can get this line back out. The main thing here is getting this body line or the fender gap back to where it needs to be. So we have great flushness and so that way we have a good panel gap and good panel flushness before we actually start the main repair on the dent. Because its flushness is a negative 25 millimeters, maybe, I don't know, 20 millimeters. I can stick my hand in there. I mean, let's be realistic, that's huge. Gap's really not that bad, it's just a flushness issue. I mean, and then the hood gap, you can see a little tight compared to the left side. It's a little bit wider, but not by much. Maybe a millimeter at the most. But I believe once we get the flushness out, the gap will come back to where it needs to be. And you can see right there is high. That's gonna come down and get lower right there. You can see that flushness, it needs to become, and it needs to drop probably about 3 or 4 millimeters. But once we pull this out, that's going to come down because that bracket in there is going to go back to its original position, causing this to come back down and this section to come out. And when we're fixing that, we're going to fix this buckle here and that buckle right there, because that's where a lot of pressure is being kept, those buckles. So they need to come out. And to fix those buckles, I'm going to be using the Stucky hole straightener and the Nip-Ac. Okay, so when we started this repair, obviously we used the Keco crease tabs and we pulled out, which was a little bit of a mistake. I should have pulled starting from the front bumper area. I'm pulling towards the front bumper, and I just set up my machine wrong. I should have done that, but it's okay. The repair still wasn't that bad. Anyways, so how we charge this one? We came up with the price by charging by the hour instead of giving them a $1,000 quote, knowing that they're not most likely not going to do that because he wanted to replace it. What I did was I told him, hey, $200 for the first hour and then $100 for each additional hour. And so we did $380, which is about almost 3 hours. And this is what we did. And the reason why I like that pricing is because it takes a lot of pressure off me of making an absolute flawless repair for the kind of money that I really, or for less than what the repair deserves. So that's why I asked the customer, what are your expectations for this repair? And you can hear it in the video what he said, you know, just enough to where it looks good to where I can live with it until I find that fender. And he says it here in the video. And whenever you can find out what the customer wants and what their expectations are, it allows you to do your job better and not be stressed while you're doing the repair. Have you guys ever been doing a repair and knowing you're not getting paid what the repair deserves and you're stressed out the whole time? You just want to get it done, but you still want to do a good job. I've done that so many times, and it's stressful, and it takes the enjoyment away from doing the repair. So this entire time I was doing this repair, I was excited. I was happy because I knew what I needed to do. I knew what the customer's expectations were, and that's why I stress that so much on the channel is meet the customer's expectations. Find that out right away before you start the repair. And so it's huge. It really is. It is a big thing to know and to do. So what I'm doing is basically just like I always do. I'm trying to get the bulk of the metal out. My main thing is I want the fender edge to align with the door edge before I actually really tackle the dent, because the structure of the fender is on the body lines and the edges. That's where all the structure is. If any of those structures are damaged, you're not going to be able to get the dent out. You never ever will on anything. You're going to have flipping and flopping going on, oil canning going on, a lot of trap pressure trying to knock a dent or crown down, and it's just not going to move. That's why you have to make sure your edges of all your panels, your body line, and those areas are completely back to their pre-loss state. What that means is the body lines and the edges need to be back to where they used to be before the dent was there. And then once you do that, then you can tackle the dent and get the majority of the dent out and fix the lows and the crowns and not have any worries. Because you know, sometimes when you hit a crown, all you're doing is putting dimples in the crown and the dent's not really, or the crown's not really leveling out. That's because there's trapped pressure somewhere and you got to find that. And I've run into it all the time. You don't notice these things until you start the repair. You're wondering, why the heck is this dent not coming out? Why does this dent keep flopping? And then you realize further away from the panel, sometimes 12 inches or 24 inches away, there's a buckle in the panel that you didn't see and you didn't price it accordingly, so you kind of hurt yourself on pricing, and now you got to fix that to be able to fix the dent. It happened to me yesterday on it was a BMW 3 Series Fender, and that video is coming soon. It happens all the time, honestly, because you get in a rush when you talk to the customer. You know, you guys ever get in a rush when you talk to the customer? Yeah. You just want to get the dent done so you can go to the next one. And I'm guilty of that. So you got to work on slowing it down when you get to the customer's house. Introduce yourself. I don't usually hand them business cards, but I say, hey, I always say my first and last name. Hello, I'm Dennis Alexander. Pleasure to meet you. Good to meet you. And I already know their names, so I'll be like, hey, Jim, Dennis Alexander. Good to meet you today. Let's see what you got. And then I ask them about their car, let them bring their emotions out. How did the damage occur? Tell me about it. what happened? And then their emotions start flowing, and then they're all excited, and then it's really good. It's really good for you when you're doing the repair for the customer. And the good thing about bringing out emotions, it brings for a great customer experience as well, because a lot of emotions are flowing, and whenever you have a great experience, there's usually a lot of emotions going on. So I think that's one good thing you can do is try to bring out emotions in the customer. And here I'm using this panel edge pliers from B&D Tools. It's really a hit or miss kind of tool. It's not really my favorite. Honestly, I kind of wish I didn't buy this tool, but I've tried it out since October, early October, so many times. And this was the only time I really actually enjoyed using it. All the other times it was just, you really have to crank down on it to get leverage and to get the metal to move. And I think it's really good just for fixing low spots, not for really moving metal with those panel edge, the little red things. I forget what that's called. Panel edge, to keep it from blowing, panel edge blowout or something like that. I might be using it wrong. I have no idea. I've talked to quite a few other technicians, and they've all said the same thing. They don't really like it, or I'm afraid I don't want to say anything because I don't want somebody to get mad at me for calling this tool manufacturer out. Well, I'm here to tell you my struggles with it, and I think the edge jack is way better for fixing dents and is way better in my opinion. But for doing like this right here, I mean, this is great for fixing little micro lows on and the edges of panels and fenders. It's great for that. But if you're trying to move a lot of metal with the anti-blowout thing, fuck it. I want to throw them damn things in the trash, and I am not kidding you. Once I got the fender edge aligned like I wanted to, I went in here with the dent dial. I'm starting to fall in love with this dent dial more and more that I do retail. For hell, I never used it, but for retail, I'm using it quite a bit, and I enjoy it. Using the different applications for leverage and fulcrum points and the adjustables and the sliding tip, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what he calls it. Sliding something. It works. It's a great tool, very expensive tool, but the man puts a lot of hours in it, clearly, to build this tool, and obviously his time is worth that, so you're going to pay the price because that's what the market demands, and that's what his time is worth to him. So I would say if you can afford one of these in the future, get it. They're great tools. Learn how to use it. There's so many different pieces to the dent dial, and it really truly is a great tool. And the guy did a wonderful job designing it and with all the tips and different attachments it has. I would highly recommend all the tips and attachments that you can get with it. So I'm basically bringing out all the dents, and the great thing about this tool is while you're pushing, you can use your arms, you can use your hips, you can use your legs, you can use your feet to put pressure on the dent dial, and that way you have both arms available to do knockdowns or to blend out the dent, any kind of blending. And I use it a lot. I'll use my hips or I'll use my legs to apply pressure to the low spot of the dent, and then I'll tap it down like I'm doing so here. It's just amazing for that. So the great thing about having the glue pulling tower is what you see right here. I'm able to pull the low spot and knock down all the crowns around it. And that whenever you're pulling the low and knocking down the crowns, it tightens it up. That way you can actually knock down the crowns and they'll flow into that low spot and bring the low up while it's pulling on that low. It's beautiful. I mean, without this glue pulling tower, no way in hell I'm fixing this dent. It's just not going to happen. I don't even know how to begin to fix this dent without the glue pulling tower. And it literally 2 hours and 45 minutes. That's all I put in this repair. 2 hours and 50 minutes. And I didn't struggle. Not one bit did I struggle. The first initial pull I pulled wrong, but I corrected that right away. And that's the great thing about being able to use the winch, because you can apply the exact amount of pressure with super ease versus the ratchet strap where you're like really cranking down and you can't really focus on what you're doing. And I don't like the ratchet strap. That's why I came out with the winch design. So the guy, it's pretty cool how the guy found us. He found our one of our videos on, I think he found one of our videos on Facebook, and he commented on it and said, hey, can you fix this dent? So I sent him a message, said, yeah. So pretty much what he saw was the one where I did the silver Hyundai Sonata door where I was tapping on it and then the dent just disappeared. So that video, it's going to be up here in the description, or it's going to be a link you can click right above and go straight to that video if you haven't seen it yet. It's a 45-second video. It's a really cool video. It was great to be able to capture that moment and put it out there for people to see. And I've gotten quite a few jobs from that video. So you can see here the super tabs with the round eye bolts. It's just, man, if you guys are doing retail and you're learning this craft, and if you can build a glue pulling tower, I recommend build one. I mean, it's gonna, learning curves through the roof. You're gonna be so far ahead of everyone else, I promise you. So this is the after shot. 2 hours and 50 minutes into this repair, and I was done. I was like, all right, time's up. Roll it, baby. This is what it looks like. It came out absolutely beautiful. Customer said it looks amazing. He was super stoked. I was ecstatic. I mean, so happy how it came out. Obviously, it's not perfect. I mean, there's some few ripples and flaws, which is exactly what I told him was going to be for the time spent. But man, I got the gaps back out. Guys, I'm just so happy about this. Let me know if you've ever done any repairs like this in the comments, guys, and I appreciate you watching, as always. Have a great day.